Greetings, dear friends. It's been a while since I wrote anything for this site. It's been a long time. Everything, is business. Business. You have to spin and spin. After all, times are difficult these days. There is no time to relax. But now I will please you with a very good article, very relevant for our time, dedicated to such an important topic as investing money. Even without me, you know very well that money needs to be invested, because money without investment is, in fact, dead capital. Therefore, smart people have money that works, and not lie idle. And you, dear reader, are an intelligent person, aren't you? Of course, he is smart, because if you are a regular reader of this site, then you should be completely fine with financial literacy. Therefore, you and I will work together to find a way to make our money work and multiply. But knowing about investing money is one thing, but investing and successfully investing your money is, friends, completely different. You will make a small mistake and lose everything. But if you invest successfully, you will at least save, and at most increase your money, and at the same time gain invaluable experience. Okay, let's not rant. Let's take a better look at where and what you can invest money in today to make money. The logic of investing money is quite simple. It can be expressed with the help of one old joke about an American millionaire who was asked how he managed to get rich. The millionaire replied, "When my wife and I came to America, we only had 2 cents. We bought 2 dirty apples, washed them and sold them for 4 cents. Then they bought 4 apples with them and sold them for 8 cents. And then my grandmother died and left us a legacy of $2 million. Jokes aside, but this really happens, I mean the example with apples, and not with deceased rich grandparents. You just need to look at this example in a broader sense. After all, where does a business start? With a good idea, right? We come up with something that makes sense to invest money, time, and effort into, so that we can then reap a good harvest. Getting money as an inheritance is not for us, because it does not depend on us. You and I are adults, serious, smart people. We don't have to wait and hope, but think and do to get results. So, I know one famous banker in our country. I don't know him personally, but from stories about him, who started with the sale of Turkish and Chinese clothes, then switched to Vidaki and other outlandish overseas things, for which people in the 90s did not eat for 6 months, just to buy them, and ultimately opened my own bank. So tell me later that Russia is not a country of opportunities. The main thing, I think, is to find your dirty apples, in the sense of finding where to start. We all have some money, don't we? But what to start investing them in to increase them? This is the most important question. And there is no universal answer to it. In each specific case there may be its own idea. You just need to grasp the very meaning of this skill, then the necessary ideas will come to mind. One thing is for sure, you and I need honest business, as much as possible, and not one for which we can get hit in the horns. So you need to invest money in legal matters. Fortunately, there are plenty of such matters in our time. Some people believe that to invest money you need a lot of this same money, then it can be put into action. And supposedly there is nothing to do with pennies except spend them on all sorts of nonsense. I wonder why they got the idea that it is easier to increase the same million than, say, 8,000 rubles. If the amount of money harms the ability to invest it, it is only when there is a lot of this very money, but little intelligence. As I understand it, people have simply heard from someone about how millions are multiplying, and they think that they can do it too, while thinking and knowing. These are completely different things, and give most people a million, even if not rubles, but dollars, and I assure you, they would rather screw him up than multiply him. Because taming money in itself is not an easy task, and taming big money is completely similar to curbing the elements. I have witnessed this many times when people lost a lot of money trying to increase it, so I know how it happens. If a person does not know how to manage small money, if he does not know where to invest money and how to invest it, then it does not matter how much he has, it will not be easy for him to cope with big money. Although, of course, there are exceptions. So, after all, it's not money, but knowledge and experience. This is what you need to have in order to invest money skillfully and thereby increase it. I would call this process hunting, in which money serves as a weapon for us, and everything in which it can be successfully invested as a prey. I emphasize, successfully. And to hunt well, you need to be a good hunter, have the necessary knowledge and instinct. A gun alone is not enough. You need knowledge about money, which I will be happy to share with you. Before offering you a few relevant investment options, in my opinion, I would like to say a little about where it is undesirable for you to invest your money, given the peculiarities of our time. Still, you've probably already read something on this topic on other sites, and therefore my advice may be somewhat contrary to what you already know. And lest you get confused about this, I must state my position clearly and clearly. So, I think you don't need to talk about banks again. You know about them even without me, about what interest rates on deposits are there now, what risks, revocation of licenses, what prospects they have in general. I won't say that this is not an option for you, I mean bank deposits. I myself have a certain amount of money in the bank, even in several banks. But this is not earnings, and not even saving my money, since inflation is still higher than the interest paid by banks. And he doesn't know what will happen next, with our problems in the economy. In addition, in times of crisis, keeping money in Russian banks is still dangerous. There is a risk of losing it. You should be prepared for this if you keep your money in the bank, mentally prepared. The deposit insurance system, DIS, in Russia, as you know, has a maximum insurance compensation of up to 1.4 million rubles. This is at the moment. How suitable it is for you, decide for yourself. If you don't have much money, you can keep it in the bank to at least save you a little from inflation. But for now we will push the banks aside, now they are not particularly interesting to us. For me, actually investing money involves multiplying it many times in a relatively short time, and not all this burden with tiny interest rates in relation to inflation. Next, in terms of promotion, we have all sorts of forexes, PAM accounts, binary options and similar areas that seem to promise big income, but in reality, getting this income is oh so difficult. Of course, no one will tell you the truth about the risks in this matter, because it is not profitable for them, but keep in mind that investing money in Forex requires a person to have great knowledge and skills, and I would even say, instinct. I know this from myself. I invested money in Forex. I made good money this way, but then I lost almost all the money I earned because of my own stupidity. Overall, I remained in the black, but at the same time I broke all my brains about these horseradish fours. All these things, for professionals who know the same Forex inside and out. And for ordinary people this is a very risky business. Such income with investment requires special knowledge. And if you don't know a damn thing about all these Forexes, it's better not to invest money in them, because without the necessary knowledge and experience in these systems, you won't earn anything from them, especially now, when social Darwinism is gaining momentum due to the crisis and therefore brokerage houses are increasingly simply wasting their clients' money. So if earlier you could still take a risk and get into trouble yourself with your own money, trying to invest it in the same PAM accounts, now, when every penny counts, Forex trading becomes a dangerous game. And I believe that for now it's better still avoid all these offices. It's like playing cards with shooters. There is a chance to win, but it is not high. I wouldn't go into the stock market if I were you either. If you are not a millionaire who has plenty of available funds and financial advisors at hand, then don't get involved in this matter. There are plenty of crooks there. Well, I hope you have the intelligence not to invest your money in all sorts of Nuvasuki, of which there are plenty on the internet. And what scammers today don't offer, and they offer, in general, a lot of ideas to build a new type of transport, of course, with public money, and create a free internet, and invest money in art objects. Their essence boils down to the fact that they all tell you how to make money on the internet by investing money in something unusual and highly profitable. Although it would seem that if it is so profitable, why don't you make money from it yourself? In general, don't go crazy. Don't feed Ostapov Benders, who promise you to organize an intergalactic chess tournament. It was I who briefly explained to you where you, ordinary hard workers, should not invest your money, no matter how beautiful slogans attract you. Where should you invest your money? Let's see. Real estate, commercial, residential, and land is a good option, given that the cost of some real estate, although insignificant, has decreased. Banal? Yes, but now it's really profitable to invest money in real estate. I can't speak for all the cities of our great and vast, but in my city both commercial and residential real estate are becoming cheaper, and as I look at the news, in other cities too, even in Moscow. Therefore, one of my friends is already looking for an apartment in the capital. She wants to buy it for subsequent rental, and in the future, when the owl's prices go up for resale. So if you have enough money for this business and especially rack your brains over how best to manage it, you don't want to invest in real estate. As long as there is a crisis, it will be inexpensive, and as soon as oil rises in price again, or, which is unlikely, reforms take place in our country, the economy diversifies and begins to develop, real estate prices will fly to heaven again. So now is the time to buy real estate. You remember the golden rule. Buy cheap and sell expensive, right? Well, buy it while it's cheap. Anyone who is now talking about where it is profitable to invest money points out the profitability of buying real estate. Just don't even think about participating in shared construction, otherwise you will most likely be deceived. One of my friends recently got burned in this case. He was simply abandoned, as usually happens in our country. And it seems that there was a trial and all the facts of fraud by the development company were presented. But what good, what kind of trial can there be in our country? In general, the money was not returned to him. And according to my data, in the vast majority of cases, people are cheated in such situations. So don't fall for the cheapness. Only invest in what exists, not in promises. If you are planning to stir up some business and want to invest your money in this particular business, then in my professional opinion and keen sense of smell today it is advisable to open thrift stores and stores with cheap food. Food. Yes, I'm not kidding. I personally know people who opened just such a business, and they seem to have screwed it up. I understand that this is not a quick investment of money. It takes time for buyers to appear, for turnover to increase and all that. But the topic itself is very good and working. If you don't know how to start your own business, then read my article on this topic. In principle, there is nothing complicated here. In the meantime, I will give you two of the latest and most profitable examples in this area. Some guys I know quite well have opened a store in the basement, quite cheap rent, where they sell and buy used computers and computer components. They buy computers and components from people cheaply, but sell them at a decent markup, and trade is going well, because used computers are much cheaper than new ones in regular stores, but at the same time they are working and there is also a guarantee for them. It is clear that the equipment is not new, and therefore cheap, but it is working, and this is the main thing. Of course, they check all this stuff. set it up, assemble it, clean it, and so on, including providing various services for repairing and setting up computers. And they provide a guarantee for all this, which is especially important for used goods that may turn out to be faulty. And most importantly, they have clients and make money. Ordinary stores today cannot boast of this. Many stores, including computer stores, have closed in my city recently because their sales have dropped significantly. People are now drawn to the cheap, since there is a crisis outside, so it is profitable and even to some extent fashionable to open second-hand shops. Consider investing in such a business. Other guys opened several small shops in my city with cheap things and food. Not fixed price. Everything is very cheap there. Of course, the revenue is not big, but it is there. And it is very convenient and profitable for people to shop in such stores. As I found out, they have a lot of people, although they compete with the same fixed price. People especially sell out food and essential goods well. People became impoverished, they began to count money, so now people are looking for where to buy the most necessary things for life cheaper. Life on credit is over for many, now people have to live within their means. And food and essential goods have always been and will be in demand. In general, you can consider these options for yourself. Find suppliers of cheap food, clothing, and other things necessary for life and feel free to open your own business. I assure you that you will have clients. Learn to work with poor people, there will now be more and more of them every day. This is our reality. But the coolest topic for investing money, of course, is the IT industry. Namely, the internet. Where are we going without his dear? Now is the time to invest money on the internet, although the drawdown here is also very noticeable. However, internet commerce is gaining momentum, and while and not only our, state is looking for ways to suppress all freedom on the internet, through all kinds of prohibitions, in order to prevent its development, active people, taking advantage of this freedom, earn very good money online. In general, the internet shows us perfectly how, without any regulation from the state, people can organize and create something useful for each other. Here you have developed financial services that you can trust and trade, without any mistakes, and all kinds of services for making money, thanks to which people were able, if not to earn money, then at least to earn extra money. At the same time, the state has nothing to do with all this at all. I have an article dedicated to how to make money on the internet, you can read it to understand what you can do here. I will monitor its relevance and add new ways to earn money to it. Well, you and I understand that as soon as government officials come to the internet, we will have to forget about all freedom, about high quality and affordable services, about creative business and the like. But that's not what we're talking about now. Now we are talking about where you can invest money on the internet. And you can invest them, first of all in your own website, blog, forum, in your own group on a social network. This is even better now, in an online store, stores selling both your own and others, that is, affiliate goods and services, as well as in affiliate programs. This is when using contextual advertising teaser banners and other advertising tools you advertise other people's products and services and receive your percentage of sales. In addition, it is worth saying that advertising on the internet is constantly developing and improving, so you can also do advertising. For example, you can learn to write custom advertising articles. In general, there are plenty of options. I won't say that this is a real gold mine, but you can make money on the internet if you invest it in the right business. And it's better to invest them in your own projects. I emphasize, in your own, and not in other people's, and not in all sorts of scams, such as lotteries, bookmakers, casinos and the like. By the way, one of my friends decided to take up such a thing as issuing loans on the internet, naively believing that this online business is better developed than in ordinary life. He believed that his money would be returned to him and planned, as a real moneylender, to get rich in this way. He thought that wealth and money would easily come to him at the expense of those who did not know how to live within their means. Naturally, he was ultimately deceived. He was not returned the money. Moreover, as I found out, in this case it is not only and, perhaps, not so much the borrowers who are deceiving, but the exchanges themselves, which create fictitious borrowers, dead souls, with a fictitious impeccable credit history, who then suddenly disappear somewhere with money their creditors. And you are offered, at best, to go to court, in which you, naturally, will not prove anything. In general, this is not earnings. This is a way to lose your money. Well, what kind of loans? Think for yourself. Who will take out a loan online at exorbitant interest rates, besides scammers? And the issuance of loans itself is a very complex business, in which it is impossible to do without collectors. It is not on the decency of people that you will trust. By lending them money, you need the power with which you will return your money, for most people understand only power. Therefore, do not have illusions about such ways of making money. Invest money on the internet in your own projects, or in projects of people you know well and trust. Only in this case can you really make money.